Okay, we'll call our Budget and Finance Committee meeting to order. Discussion, privilege of the committee chair, committee members, legislators to discuss items of interest regarding departments governed by this committee. Anything? If not, we'll move on. Resolution adopting local law 3 of 2016, a local law to opt out of the section 487 of New York State real property tax law. Needs a sponsor in a second.
Sponsor.
Terry and Barb. Okay. I hate working off of this thing. So, all right. So Sean, if I could, I know that you're in favor of us opting out. This is primarily in regards to solar farms that could come into the county. And each municipality has the opportunity to opt out. And if they do so, that means that anyone coming in would have to talk to us, negotiate with us, right, for tax revenue. If we don't opt out, they could just have free will to come in and do as they please. If you want to...
Well, my understanding is that there's been a number of companies that have come and approached some landowners about putting solar farms in. And my understanding is that they're willing to not only to pay the taxes for their farm. So I believe this is an opportunity for the county to increase their tax base. I don't believe that we should be exempting them from taxation.
Sean, do you know whether this is on the improvements, or is this on the land itself making it exempt?
I believe it's on the improvements. Bill can elaborate on that.
Mr. Chairman, if I can.
Go ahead.
You know, this section 40 section of the real property tax law is actually passed in the early 90s. We learned about it just a few months ago. It was kind of an odd piece of legislation. In an effort to encourage solar development, what it said is that you can have a large solar farm. We're getting a lot of pressure for those, particularly in Florida, and other farms, anybody that's near a three-phase line now. So what can happen is you can have an income-producing facility, 40, 50, 60, 100 acres going up. And under this law, unless the county and each of the municipalities and the school district actually take an affirmative action to opt out, as a matter of right, they are given a tax exemption. This is a very, very unusual, almost kind of a sneaky law. We were made aware of it a few months ago. We communicated with all the local legislative, all the town and village legislative bodies, as well as their assessors and so forth. So what happens is somebody comes in, develops this, and there's simply not a problem-making entity. There's some big solar farms going on. They don't have to pay property taxes unless you take the step to opt out of this program.
Property taxes on the property and improvements, or property taxes on the improvements?
I believe it would be on the, it would be incremental onto the improvements, to include the improvements. I'm sure the valuation of stuff like that is a fairly technical matter, but clearly the value when you're doing something like that, they would do some capitalization of the income stream for the valuation.
Anyone else? What shall we do? Move it?
Yeah.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to our next resolution, which is a resolution, no, screwed that up. Resolution denying applications for the 2016 Town and County Tax Corrections Real Property. Needs a sponsor in a second. Has none, we'll move on.
It does. It has.
Sponsor,
Sponsor.
Barb, second. Discussion? Under discussion, I mean, I have to, I was just talking to Megan a little bit about one that we did back in January. Maybe I'm a little bit confused. I know that comments I had made back then were geared around, I don't think it's the legislature's job to be doing this, that it should be taken care of at real property, if you remember. And well, I'm finding out now that the Board of Supervisors has actually acted on these things for years. I don't recall it, but Cheryl had pointed out, not a lot, but some. And I don't know. I mean, I look back at what we did on the 25th or 26th of January, and I'm second guessing what we did, considering what happened to that property. Now that I know that we actually have the ability to act, so maybe I'm confused about something.
Well, it's a two-step process. So when the application comes in from the local assessor to make a correction on the rolls, it goes to our real property tax director, who reviews the application and reviews it against real property tax law, and then she has to submit to you a report and a summary in the application with her recommendation based on the law, based on how the real property tax directors apply the law in regards to the applications. Pursuant to state law, if she makes a recommendation to approve, that can go directly to audit committee, and audit committee can pass it through. If she makes a recommendation to deny, state law requires that it comes through the legislature for your approval prior. But it's based largely on her report and her review of the law. So that's what happened last month, and that's what this is too. So she's reviewed an application to change the tax roll, reviewed it based upon the standards, determined that it doesn't meet any of the requirements to be granted, and is recommending a denial. She doesn't have the authority to just deny it. It has to come through the legislature for her to do that. So that's what this is.
And that's where my confusion set in last month. Had I known that, under the, you know, I know that she may disagree, but in that situation, you had a homeowner who was taxed for something that was done on another piece of property unrelated to his. We denied that, so that would be like Terry building something, but I got assessed for it. How the heck can we live with ourselves knowing that somebody's paying the tax bill of something they didn't do?
Well, it's not the end either. They still can, like you said last month, they still can grieve their taxes and go directly to the Board of Assessment.
And in this situation that we're looking at in this resolution, I agree the denial. But in that situation, I didn't think I had the power to really do that. And that's what's got me upset about that one, is it's different than this one. And I don't want to make that person have to go to grievance day and waste his time, or to another court, because it just wasn't right what happened.
Well, I would be happy to I know actually a little bit about that file. I'd be happy to talk about that with you further.
Well, I mean, if it's different than that, but that's the way that we understood it from what she said, that something was built on his son's property.
It's a little more complicated than that. I'm happy to talk about it with you, and maybe we should have Sandy come to that too.
Duke.
You know, I've been looking at, I think, the fourth whereas. The county legislature did not find there was a clerical error, unlawful entry, or an error in the essential fact that is applicable. Is that the only three criteria under which this...
Those are the three main criteria. Unfortunately, Sandy couldn't be here tonight to discuss her report with you. She had an emergency, but those are the three main criteria under the real property tax law that are required to approve to changing the tax roll.
Because I'm thinking back to what Tom was talking about, and that certainly looks like there was an error in essential fact in this other case.
Are we talking about the other one, or are we talking about this resolution?
Well, I'm looking at it in the context of these of this criteria.
The other resolution was the previous case was the.
Well, let me ask it a different
secondhand
way.
because it's coming from.
Let me ask it a different way. If there was a finding that there was an error in essential fact in that other case, would that give us cause to accept the challenge?
Then you could, but That you could, but I think you have to look at, if we're talking about this one, about the previous one, you have to look at the whole application and the circumstances. The thing with that one was that wasn't the first application. There was a prior application for the same property. So you guys had approved a correction in errors the month before, so December, you approved a correction in errors on that property, reducing the amount. And then you got another correction of errors the following month saying, oh no, actually it should be this and this, without any documentation backing it up. So that was where that one became an issue. There was nothing to support that it was an error of essential fact.
I'm looking for a comfort level here so that we can cast a vote, feeling like we know how and why we're voting.
And this is why I've asked Sandy to come to these, but she unfortunately can't come to explain her report, but should be a report.
And you know, just before I get to Bob, that's where I'm at right now, is I feel like when I ran my mouth last month, I was saying, geez, what the heck's this doing here? That's why they have grievance day. I didn't realize that tax law allowed it to come here.
It comes here when it's recommended to be denied.
You know,
Yep.
so that's what confused me. Bob?
2 points. As it pertains to this resolution, if there's anybody that we should give a second look to, or the benefit of the doubt to understand better, it's a veteran. If this guy apparently didn't process the paperwork right, or didn't sign it, you know, someone that's not in the business or not represented by some sort of counsel on this, I can see where someone could make a mistake or file the wrong paperwork.
This was the Legion Post, right? This was actually the American Legion.
No. Yes. No, this is Brook Lancaster, 191. There's 2 here.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking
Okay,
at
so the
this.
first one, I'd really like to take some time and not rush into making a decision.
I agree.
And give a veteran who represented and supported our country the benefit of the doubt and seeing what we can do to make this better. As it pertains to the one we talked about several months ago and we denied, at some point I think we might want to consider a motion to reconsider and take another look at that.
I agree.
It's not any financially cumbersome amount. I think when I made my decision to vote for denying it, I think I felt the same way that you did. I thought that it was a clear-cut case, and I maybe I didn't look at all the information that I could have with open eyes. So,
Would you folks be comfortable just tabling this one too? And
Yes.
let's just table until we can,
I'll make the motion.
motion to table, second. Barb? All in favor of tabling?
Aye.
Okay, let's table. Then we can get all the information we need from.
Yeah, I'd reach out to Sandy, definitely.
All right, next resolution is a resolution amending the 2016 operating budget forfeiture monies. District attorney needs a sponsor in a second. Joe, Barb, discussion? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Move it to the board, full board, okay. Joe and Barb. The next several resolutions up through 9 are all in regards to bonding, right?
Yes.
So we'll start with item number 5, which is a resolution, a bond resolution of the County of Montgomery, New York, dated March 22nd of 16, authorizing the replacement of various vehicles and equipment within the county, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $630,000, appropriating said amount therefore and authorizing the issuance of a $630,000 serial bonds of the county to finance said cost. I do believe, well, we're not there at the voting, but needs a sponsor in a second. Barb, Terry, just to make comment, I believe these need 2/3, right? When it does go to full board, you need 6. Sean, any?
No, this, like I said, these bonding resolutions are based on the capital plan that the legislature adopted last month. For the projects to move forward, funding has to be in place.
Anyone have questions for Sean? If not, move it to the full board meeting.
Move it to full
Good.
board.
All right, item 6 is a bond resolution of the County of Montgomery, New York, dated March 22nd of 16, authorizing the acquisition and installation of computer software for the sheriff's office and jail within the county, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $228,031. Appropriating said amount, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of a $228,031 serial bonds of the county to finance said cost. County Treasurer's Office. Look for a sponsor in a second. Joe, Barb? All set, Cheryl? Same thing, questions, anyone? Bob?
This originally came out at, I believe, like $330,000, and we made some adjustments to it under the capital plan to bring it down to $228,000. With some discussion with the sheriff's office.
Just to make
Sean, anything you have to add on this or the following resolutions, just pipe up for, I don't want to, if anybody has, if you have anything that you think's of importance to share with us.
This is the e-prescriber.
All right. So, would you like to move that on to the full board? Okay. Item number 7 is a bond resolution of the County of Montgomery, New York, dated March 22nd, 2016, authorizing the replacement of the Fort Hunter Road Bridge within the county, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $1,675,000, appropriating said amount, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,675,000 in serial bonds of the county to finance said cost. Sponsor in a second. Roy, Terry, discussion. Move it to the full board.
Full board.
Okay, moving on to number 8 is a bond resolution of the County of Montgomery, New York, dated March 22nd, 2016, authorizing the replacement of the public safety building roof within the county, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $900,000, appropriating said amount therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $900,000 serial bonds of the county to finance said cost. Look for a sponsor in a second. Roy, Bob. Discussion, Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just a question. I know this dates back about 20 years or so now, but given the cost and the fact that, there were some errors in the original installation of the roof that necessitated this replacement, my question is the contractor that installed the roof and built the jail, as well as the clerk of the works that was on the job, are either of those entities still in existence, and have either of those entities been contacted in any form?
Paul?
They have, through my discussions with Megan, she indicated that the number of years that have passed provides us with really no discourse.
Yeah, I understand that it's a lot of times passed, but I guess my thought process on this is something that deals with the reputation of this contractor and this clerk of the works or whoever was at fault. And while it appears that we do not have any legal recourse, that potentially a simple letter of discovery stating, this was determined through an energy audit and we wanted to notify you, and they might say, nothing, or they, who knows what their response would be, but I just wondered if we could reach out to either of those firms or determine that.
Megan?
If I could. They are aware of the issue. It has been brought to their attention, and they are aware
Are
of
both
what's
still in
going on.
existence?
The architecture firm is the clerk of the works. I'm not sure, but the architecture firm who is responsible for the project is.
Well, now, if I'm just for clarification, there was a clerk of the works on the project, a contractor, and then an architectural firm that actually did the plans.
Right.
And correct me if I'm wrong, the actual plans for the project that were stamped and approved called for the proper amount of insulation, but it was not installed as such.
I believe
Is that?
that's my recollection, but
Yes, but what we have found since then, because of the addition, the expansion project tied to the existing building, they had to remove an actual portion of the existing roof down to the concrete deck. And what we have found is that there is about, there is some insulation there. The insulation was, and how the change ever happened, I mean, at this point, I can't identify, but it was supposed to be the flat concrete deck, the lightweight concrete, then the insulation, and then the final roofing, and it basically got reversed. The insulation was, and instead of the foam board, it's more of a, looks like a styrofoam cup material, but that was applied to the flat concrete deck, then the lightweight concrete, and then the final roofing number. So then actually that information is just kind of light within the past couple of days. It does not meet the current building code for R value, but it's like R value of 23, the current R value is 35 for a commercial building.
Anyone else? Your pleasure. Go ahead.
Clarification, so this is more about the insulation capabilities and getting a new roof at the same time, correct?
Yeah, no, ultimately, the idea of the project is to keep water out of the,
There's going to be some shimming going on.
out of the building. And then what we were hoping was if in fact there was no insulation, we could have at least got an R value that would provide energy efficiency over the remaining life of the facility.
Thank you.
Move it? Move it full board, okay. Item number 9 is a resolution amending the 2016 operating budget and authorizing the county executive to enter into a contract with Hamilton Fulton Montgomery Prevention Council. This is through mental health. Needs a sponsor in a second. Barbara, Bob, discussion? Looks like we originally had appropriated 100, or not to exceed a contract of 115,000, and we need to up the ante to 358, and that's because there's, we're increasing the revenues in the special health program, OASIS, by $247,786, and increasing the appropriations by the same amount for community support system.
It's just a pass-through, isn't it?
The-
Yes, the mental health was awarded additional funding for this particular program. And it, like I said, it's passed through from the state to the agent of prevention.
Okay, everybody good? Move
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Move it to the full
Full
board?
board.
Okay. Item number 10 is a resolution amending the 2016 operating budget, tourism, sponsor and second. Barb, Terry, looks like we're looking to move $55,000 from the contingent account and transferring that to $55,000 to the county contribution tourism. Barb,
Is somebody here from,
I do not believe.
We do have them scheduled next month.
What,
can this wait? I mean, is this time sensitive?
Sean can answer that.
what happened is that at the time the budget was being prepared and adopted, the ledge had not determined who was going to do the administration of the tourism for the county. And once the budget was adopted, the ledge took the action that they were going to move the money out of the tourism line and put it in contingency pending the awarding of the contract for the administration of tourism. After the fact, the ledge approved contracting with the chamber again for the administration. But it was, at that point, it was too late to change the budget. Now it's just fixing the budget to move that additional money back to the line where the administration is paying.
I think your question was, could it wait? 'Cause I
That's
think-
my question.
I think you wanted to have someone from the chamber here. I'm just assuming that's what you were.
That's correct.
Is there pressure to have this right now, or does it matter, or?
I don't know if I don't know the financial situation of the chamber, if they're in need of this, whether, we wouldn't be able to pay the administration until
We
there's a fund.
did hire them, so.
Yeah, I thought I saw Duke's hand and then Mark. Did you have your hand up there?
The contract hasn't been signed yet because the funding's not in the budget for it.
Right. Did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I think there's been some movement by the chamber with respect to planning, but I'd like to hear a little bit more. I wouldn't be opposed to waiting.
Martin?
The way that I understand the I Love New York money is it's done in certain
Increments?
Phases?
Yeah, phases. And while I agree we should have some discussion with the chamber, can we move it to the full board and request that somebody from the chamber come so that we're not holding up the funds for another month in case there is an issue with time, that they need the funding for the current quarter?
Actually, Terry had me reach out to the chamber, and unfortunately Gina's going on vacation, so it's scheduled for them to come on April 12th to Economic Development Committee for a report.
I would just hate to table this and then lose out.
I mean, I could see if Mark or somebody else could come, but Gina will not be available.
Well, if we were to put it on tonight, find out how crucial it is. If not, we table it at the full board meeting, table it to the April meeting.
Or have them come to the April.
Huh?
Have them come to.
Have them come to the April meeting, then act on the tabled resolution after.
Mark could come, if Mark could come in March, then Gina could come follow up with an actual
Well, I
tourism.
mean, we're supposed to have a designated person aside from Gina. Gina is the boss of that person, whoever that person is.
I'll
The
contact
name
them
escapes me.
tomorrow.
I mean, would that work? So we move it forward to the full board now, and then just table it at that meeting if nobody can show prior and answer questions, and if they can, then we'll get it answered in April and put it on in April.
Okay.
If we're not comfortable with it,
Huh?
move it forward, and if we're not comfortable.
Then table it at the
next
full
meeting,
board.
table it.
So then, Chair, if I'm understanding, so then if we're not satisfied with that, then we're going to pull the contract from the chamber. So I thought we had a resolution that said we're using the chamber for tourism.
Right.
We passed that. So I don't understand, so if we're not satisfied, if someone doesn't show up or something, then we'll rescind that resolution also.
No, I think we were going to wait till April then when they were coming. Because they're already scheduled to come in April. What you're saying is, even in April, I think what you're saying is, what happens even if April when they come, if somebody doesn't like something they hear, are we going to pull the contract we've already agreed to?
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I don't plan on that.
Well, I guess I don't understand why we hold the
Then
money.
why even wait?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Good question.
unless you're going to pull it, then
Otherwise, if you've already agreed to it, why not move it? That's what you're saying.
thank you.
Terry, what you're talking about?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we did hire the chamber, so it's basically transferring the money so we can pay the chamber, so I don't.
So then okay, Bob.
I think Roy has a valid point, Chair, that we did make the commitment to do this. I've been involved with the chamber, and Barton has also been involved with the strategic planning there. I think that just for the benefit of everybody here, I see a bigger effort this year to do what we're asking and conforming to what we made the agreement on. And they're creating a strategic plan that's come a long way. Hasn't had impact yet, but it's a part of the strategic process. I feel that we did make the commitment to do that, and I would hate to jeopardize whatever relationship we're regaining and establishing with the chamber, and I see no reason to not do it if we made that commitment.
So what's your flavor? Move it to the full board?
Move it forward.
Something comes up that you're not happy with at the full board, you can always
Vote against it.
garner the votes, or vote against it, or table, or whatever you want to do. All right, move it to the full. Go
I
ahead.
just want to be clear, I was never opposed to, I don't know where it came from of not supporting the chamber. I just wanted to ask him a few questions, that's all. I've actually been spoken for the chamber very openly. So let's keep this in a positive note and move it to the full board.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we moved that to the full board. We're moving on to our next resolution, which it's that time again. Resolution appointing member to the auditing committee. These are for the months of April and May. Volunteers?
Sponsor and second.
Sponsor in a second.
I'll sponsor.
Barb, second.
Second.
Martin?
I can do that.
Martin?
Sponsor April.
Barbara will amend this to a motion to amend. Huh?
We just put the, you have the sponsor and second, we can insert those.
Okay. All right, move it to the full board. With those two
Barbara
names.
for April and
Yeah.
Martin.
No, Barbara's April, Martin's May.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Okay, resolution resolution approving abstract of audited claims, county legislature. Sponsor and second. Barb, Terry, discussion, move it,
Full board.
full board. All right, I have one resolution to add on. I talked with the chair, I think you all have it on your desk. Resolution establishing an additional maintenance mechanic position, sanitary district 1. It would need a sponsor and a second. Roy, Martin. Discussion. The Montgomery County Sanitary Sewer District once upon a time had 5 full-time workers and 1 part-time worker. 2 of those workers are the clerk and the superintendent. The other 2 were either laborers or maintenance mechanic, a maintenance mechanic position. Today we have none of those positions. We only have a superintendent. The current maintenance mechanic has been out since June. We have tried desperately to hire somebody part-time just to fill, and it's not working. So we thought we could use the money that is not being spent in the maintenance mechanic line now, at least the first 3 months, take that as well as money from the contingent account and put it into the maintenance mechanic line and create the position. We're at a point now where we really need to act because we have nobody working. I mean, the weekends, the coverage is being done by these 2 people, the whole plan. So this isn't a total fix. Hopefully that person will be back shortly, and even when he comes back, we'll have 2 positions. We'd still be down 3, but they're not looking for any more. They just want to get a couple of bodies. So I asked Terry, if it's okay if we could put this on and get it through. Martin?
I just have a question for Sean. How much is in the contingent account for the sewer district?
The sewer district has, I believe, a total of 14,000 through 22 with their contingent line.
And we're moving 13,780, and the maintenance, also, we have another area, the part-time line that we don't use, because we haven't been able to fill it. We can draw money from there to make up the balance for this year. Next year, you're gonna have to look at 2 positions.
And we can move the salaries that we want for the,
Absolutely, right now, there's another good point, there's a $5,000 chairman's salary. I've remained on as chairman unpaid, at least for the first 3 months here, unless they decide to change me out. If they put a mayor in there that's on the board, then or mayor, member at large, then I guess it would start being used again. But as of right now, none of that's being used. So we're very comfortable that we can take on this position in the rest of the year and hopefully get through it. So we're looking for that support to move on. Any other questions? If not, can we,
Did you want to talk about what
what's that?
January?
We did. That's the real tax property one? Yeah, we talked about that all in one kind of bundled up, right, Megan?
Right,
Yeah.
I guess. It was
Yeah,
a little
we
jumbled
kind of
together.
talked about, that's the same one that we talked about All right, so,
Chair, just for clarification, the contingent account is for the sewer district.
yes, that's in the sewer district budget, correct, Sean?
Yeah, G.
She is the sewer district.
This is not going to affect the county budget.
Yeah. I mean, it's still the county,
Well,
if it runs dry, it's the county budget that all the taxpayers pay for, that we all beat up from, you know. All right, so that's all I have. If there's nothing else to come before us, I look for a motion to adjourn. Barb, second, Martin. Okay, that's that deal.